Hi, Nick. Welcome. Thanks so much for joining. You're the Client Development Director of Tesco Media, part of dunnhumby, I guess, a company I've got a long association with myself, and I guess really proud of how things have evolved hugely from the humble beginnings, 20 plus years ago, and delighted that you are going to be able to join us at the summit and kick us off with your keynote. But just to introduce yourself, Nick, tell us a little bit about your role and your remit at Tesco Media.
Thank you, Steve. Thanks very much for asking me along. So, as you said, I'm Client Development Director. What does that mean? So it means that I'm focused on broadening and deepening our relationships with our key advertiser and agency customers. So there are three key parts to my team. So I have a strategic planning team, and their role is about working with clients to identify the best growth opportunities for their particular business in Tesco. And that's all the big CPG clients that we all know and love. I then have an agency development team. So media agencies are playing a much more important role in retail media. And we have a team that's specifically focused on servicing our big agency clients. So the Group M's and the Publicists and Omnicom, people like that. And then I have a third team, which is about new business development. And that's predominantly about non-endemic advertisers. So brands that we don't sell. Is there an opportunity for them to work with Tesco and specifically Tesco Clubcard data to sharpen up their own marketing? That team's been set up really to recognise the more expansive role that Tesco's retail media offering is playing on marketing plans.
Oh, that's wonderful, Nick. And you're clearly playing an industry-leading role, and I think where you guys go today, typically others seek to go tomorrow. But tell us a little bit about what you were doing previously. What roles have you held prior to leading Tesco Media?
Yeah, so most of my career has been on the buy side, actually. So I spent 20 plus years at WPP. I was chief client at Mindshare. So I was planning and buying and representing some of the most amazing brands, such as Nike and Meta and ITV, Heineken, Argos, Dyson, brands like that. That was fantastic. And then in 2017, I went to Tesco as Tesco's first head of media. And that was pretty much right at the beginning of the Tesco turnaround story. So I was really proud to be part of a team that helped develop that. And then in 2022, I moved over to this Tesco Media role. So from investing marketing budgets to convincing others that they should be investing their marketing budgets with us.
No, that's brilliant. So yeah, thanks for that. Now, I mean, I guess Tesco dunnhumby, you've been leading the way for more than 20 years in retail media. But what are some of the things that you're happiest with that you've been able to achieve? Some of your key successes so far?
I think it's predominantly about the pace of change, to be honest. So the last 18 to 24 months, the pace of change has been phenomenal in lots and lots of different ways. So if I think about the types of conversations that we're having with our clients, they're more strategic, they're more long-term, and they're definitely more full funnel. It's not just about advertising at the point of purchase. So a much more strategic view and more long-term view with our clients. If I think about the types of products that we're bringing to the market, they're more digital, gives brands more of a creative opportunity. So gone are the days of just being cardboard in stores, a big expansive canvas that we have available for advertisers to use. As you know, dunnhumby is a data science company, first and foremost. So if I think about the data science that we're bringing to the table, it's more predictive, it's more growth oriented, it's incredibly smart. And then probably most importantly to me is the talent that we've got at our disposal and that have decided that retail media is the area of marketing that they'd want to work in. And that's a big range. So it's people, we've got the best of the Tesco group, including dunnhumby, but we've also recruited in a number of people from major digital brands who really want to be part of this retail media momentous growth cycle.
No, that's great. And I I mean, there's you clearly got lots of momentum and lots of good things, but surely there must be some things that are challenging, and perhaps you can talk about some of those things.
Yeah, there's probably a couple actually. So the two I think about are organizationally, how people are setting themselves up, and then measurement is probably the second one. So I'll deal with organizationally to begin with. I think a lot of clients and agencies are working through the best ways to structure themselves for this new world. So if you think about the past, I think brand marketing and trade marketing have often been pretty siloed. Retail media within agencies would sit in a very specialized e-commerce team, and a planner might not touch it to the degree that we'd want them to. But as the market's exploded and as it's become a much more instrumental part of people's broader marketing plans, we've had to really adapt. So, to have conversations with CMOs, with planners, with brand teams, as well as specialists. So it's this interesting mix between the absolute specialists and people who've got a more general view on marketing. So that's required a big investment in resources and talent our side, definitely. But that's a really interesting challenge as things are moving. And then the second one is rightly there's a big push on measurement from clients, so that they genuinely understand the incremental return of retail media and the impact that their marketing investment is having. And I know as a client that was a question we were asked day in, day out from our board as to what our marketing was doing. So they're right to ask the question, but there are some key questions in the industry that need to be answered. So how do you know you're delivering incremental sales rather than sales that would have been delivered anyway? What's the impact on retention as well as acquisition? What's the impact on if you bring a customer in? What's the sort of customer lifetime value of that customer? So lots and lots of questions about measurement, which I think are really good questions, and we're working through a framework to help answer those. And then linked to that is that advertisers want standardization. So across the industry, there are quite a few different retail media networks, all with slightly different ways of looking at things, whether it be formats or ways of measuring things. And I think it's important that we join together as an industry for the good of each other, so that there's some consistency for advertisers to work with.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I'm sure those many of those themes are, will be echoed in many other retail media networks, certainly in the UK, if not around the world. So no, that's great. And then Nick, you're kicking us off at the summit, and you're leading the session with a keynote on what's called connected store. And without giving the game completely away, can you talk a little bit about some of the topics or discussion areas that you'll bring out and what people can hope to learn from that keynote?
Definitely. So, as you say, I'm going to be talking about the digitization of our in-store environment, which has been a really significant investment for Tesco in both time and resources over the last 18 months or so. So we've now got thousands of digital screens in store, as well as scan as you shop devices, so devices that people can use to scan their shopping as they go around the shop themselves. And we're introducing that for a number of reasons. And I suppose one of the key things I want to talk about is how I think media revenue needs to be considered as the output for that, not the primary driver. So we're doing it to ensure that category sales are buoyant in given categories. So we know that when we introduce more into store, then we see category uplifts overall. It's not just about brand switching, which I think is a really good thing for all clients and for Tesco, obviously. But also it's really good for our colleagues in lots of ways. So our store managers love them because it makes the stores look better. Also, there's less time for their colleagues spent on putting up point of sale and paper because things are digitized. So that's really interesting. And then I think if you get that right, then the media revenue can follow. I think I've seen some bad examples of where people have clearly been looking at things only from a media revenue perspective. And I think the risk of doing that is that perhaps you interrupt the customer experience too much, and it doesn't feel like it should be part of that natural experience. So interesting. I've just come back from the US actually, where the IAB asked me to head over to a conference that they were running. And digitization of in-store in the US is the big thing this year, and they're actually looking at Europe and Tesco specifically as a good example of how brands are doing it in a way that's customer first, but also gives brands these new, more adaptive, highly creative opportunities to talk to their customers within the store environment.
Yeah, that's great. I think it's certainly the case that the major UK European retailers do lead the way on in-store retail media. So that's wonderful to hear that you're sort of flying the flag over in the US. So and that's fantastic, Nick. So really looking forward to your session on the 14th and to the summit itself. And once again, thanks so much for taking part and also for sharing some thoughts ahead of then. So really looking forward to seeing you on the 14th.
I look forward to it too. Thank you very much, Steve.
Thank you.